We're going to spend a bit of time now looking at the role lighting can play in a good blockout. Typically in a full production AAA level, there's a lighting artist that would do all the final passes on top of the environment art that's built from your level design blockout. Generally speaking, there can be a lot of usefulness in doing a basic lighting pass on your level to just for basic gameplay visibility, first of all, functionality, in case certain areas of your level are too dark and you can't even see what you're doing. That's obviously a utilitarian use of it. But also there's a real role it can play in highlighting the player focus, drawing their eye, reinforcing the pathing intent that you build for the player. It can also have maybe a narrative role. Maybe there's a bit of environmental narrative you want to try to convey in your blockout. But it all serves a purpose to try to engage other people, other developers on your team with your level design vision. And when that's done, people can understand what you intend and they can really do their best to help see your whole vision come to life in a finished production level. So with that in mind, we're going to have a quick look here on the interior of the mill building. There is a post-process volume in the level right now. It's up here in the world outliner. We use the basic UE4 default map, which has a post-process volume in it by default. Right now it's set to enabled. This does change things a little bit. You can see right now that the shadows are being cast inside. Everything inside the building here is interior shadows, right? So that's okay. If we turn this off, turn off the enabled, we can see that things get very bright by default. Also, we can see there's a bit of eye adaptation going on when we go from brighter areas to darker areas. So we're going to leave this enabled as it tends to sort of equalize the light levels. So as I was saying before, there's a couple ways we can use lighting here. One of them is basic usability. And what that means is things are just too uniformly dark all around. Everything's sort of a flat kind of value. It's hard to make out where the player is going even, except for the grid texture that's on everything. If there was no grid, it would be even harder to see. So we're just going to do some really basic lighting here just to make this more playable. We'll grab a spotlight. Say there was a hanging light up at the ceiling level that's shown down to the floor. So we'll just grab the spotlight, move it up so it hangs directly over the middle of the level. And we'll increase its lighting we'll start off real strong just so we can see things. And we'll make the attenuation so it reaches the floor. And I'll even add a little bit of color just so it's not too ugly. Slightly warm cast. So that has some light shining down. Let's see, we can probably have it be a little stronger. It's already better. You can already see a bit more detail here and there. So that's helping. And then we might want to draw attention to a few other things, like with the player path. We might want to guide the player's eye a little bit. So what we could do there, these could be kind of hints for a lighting artist later on when they do a real professional pass on it. But we could have something like this where maybe when the player rounds the corner, maybe the light up here helps them to see where to go just a little bit. Or you could use warm and cool lights even. So like some simple colors can help at all. Like maybe you have cold lights to sort of light the whole building. But then you have maybe some warmer lights like that show up differently. You can now see like really simply, there's a blue cast everything with the overhead light. There's a bit of a warm light there showing up, indicating that maybe that's the path upwards. And then maybe we indicate the denial we talked about earlier. This would be the straightforward path the player can't get past. So maybe we indicate there's maybe a work light here that says this door is closed, just for an example. That could be kind of useful. And then maybe as the player moves along through here, just alt dragging this other light over here, maybe when they go up the stairs now and they round the corner, they see a light at the end of the path here telling them that there's more good things to be had by going in this direction. It has kind of a positive cast to it. In fact, we could go even a little warmer with this, just messing around a little bit. And the same goes for maybe we want to draw attention to this bridge door here. Maybe the red isn't the color we want, though. Maybe we want to do something different. Maybe a bit of a greenish glow to this. And maybe we could try doing a light function. Go in here and type flicker. Maybe there isn't some light functions we can use. But anyway, that's just something we could play with if we wanted to later on, if we had a flickering light function. But for now, maybe we make that kind of a bright light in there to indicate that this is definitely an important thing to be had later on. There's some other uses we could do, but I think like those are just some kind of basic things that could be useful. If there was maybe stealth combat in this area, maybe there's actually enemies kind of patrolling around these areas here. So maybe we do leave this open and the player can jump down there as kind of a stealth maneuver and drop down around back here. If that's the case, maybe we want to keep certain areas in shadow to indicate that that's an area where the player will less likely be seen. So if that's the case, we could do something like this maybe, just to indicate that this area is less safe and this area back here is more safe. Maybe we make this even brighter. So now if I play through this, let's have a quick look just to see how this plays out. Okay, we enter here, we see a red light beckoning us forward to look there, but as soon as we start moving into the space here, we see a light at the top of the stairs, and that kind of beckons us up that way. And now there's actually light being cast from the upper floors. Like now we can actually see a lot more detail here. It's just, like I said, basic usability. And this sort of communicates that maybe that's a good path forward. If there were another way into the building as well, like maybe you could somehow climb up and enter this way, this light here would also tell you from this angle that that's the right way to go. So say, like we said, we do a little bit of foreshadowing. Maybe from here we actually see there's enemies patrolling down there. We decide, you know what, let's be sneaky. So we crouch down and we can now sneak around. We see light as we look in this area, and also the light will be hitting the enemies over in that direction. And it's sort of, we're sort of clarifying our intentions of where to go, how to play, things like that. Those are some good reasons you can do some basic light setups just to communicate your intent, really.